Hello, everyone. My name is Chang, and I am a QA lead who passionate about automation, manual, and leadership. My focus is on driving quality and empowering teams to grow together. I have my core values. I call them SPICE. For me, sharing is learning. Present to focus on what matters. Integrity to build trust. Challenge to push boundaries in education for continuous learning. Outside work, I start my day with intention. I love reading, listening postcards, learning languages, and traveling. I'm thrilled to be here and look forward to sharing and learning from each of you. I hope that you enjoy the 2024 Cypress conference and you will enjoy the topic as well. The topic that I would like to share with you all today is how to build a QA team from ground up. The takeaways are: what do you do when you plan to start or restart a new QA team? And then what do you do to build a QA team as a valuable strategic business access? So let's dive in. Before you make any changes, it's important to start by reviewing your latest progress, which is build process, test artifacts, test process. This gives you a clear picture where your team stands and also help you to answer some key questions. About build process, you may ask yourself, are your builds consistent, efficient, and automated? Do you have mechanism in place that to catch issue earlier? By understand the current state of your build process, you can measure how well your pipeline supports rapid and reliable release. About test artifacts, you may ask some questions like, are your test artifacts up to date and align with your latest requirements? Do they meet your quality standards and in both in terms content and structure? Are your test case easily reusable and maintainable? Do you maintain your test case repository? Do you have automation test cases and are they up to date? Those are questions you often ask when you come to review your test artifacts. When you have quality test artifacts, it provides you a roadmap for what needs to be tested and help you ensuring coverage and clarity. Without well-defined artifacts, tests may miss the critical path and may impact to your product quality. Go into test process. Some questions that you may ask is, does your QA team work closely with developer to understanding the feature requirements, the potential edge cases? Is there a focus on shift left testing, allowing QA to catch defect earlier in the development cycle? And are feedback loops from testing to developer quick and effective? With this test process, evaluation will have identified any misalignment between QA and development. When you have efficient test process and when it's synced with development, it will facilitate faster and more reliable release and will improve your overall product quality. Through this assessment, your latest progress, you can identify pain points that holding your QA back, holding back your QA efforts. And then when you know what not working, you can focus on some impactful areas like process refinement, automation, team collaboration, and this is the foundation for a successful QA revamp. I call it revamp. And as we dive deeper into current state of QA, I think that there are some common pain points that you may encountering during your reviewing. No documentation. If you miss the business or test document, it makes difficult to identify testing scope. Lack of process. Without clear processes, teams struggle with the consistencies. No visibility into quality without metrics. Is it difficult to gauge your product stability and limited automation? As you know, nowadays, a lot of companies, they release multiple times a day, or they release once per 2 week, a week, 3 weeks based on the sprint, right? And then if you only test manual, you cannot keep pace with the rapid release cycles, and no continuous testing. Without it, issue may be missed and will lead to delays the release. And then after you review, you know your pain points, you can set your expectation, what you want to achieve after the revamp process. Maybe prioritize on clear documentation, reporting, automation, or focus on speed up testing while maintaining quality through continuous testing. So this approach will help streamline release and improve the product quality. After you review the current QA, identify pain points, set your expectation. Here are 4 key areas that you need to pay attention to build an effective QA within the product development. First one, business domain. Know your product purpose, audience, and regularly communicate with stakeholders and engage in exploratory testing will deepen your domain expertise. And then when you know your product very well, it aligns with testing it will help you in testing, and then you align your testing with product roadmap for relevant coverage. System architecture. The second one is system architecture. Collaborate with developers, architects to understand the system structure, and then break down in components and map interaction to ensure test coverage. And when you do that, I'm sure that you will have effective and efficient testing approach. The third one is QA team skill sets. When you understand your team's strengths and goals, it will help you in effective test assignments, and it will align skill development with personal and organizational goals. And the fourth one is testing landscape. Testing landscape is about understanding tools, process, frameworks that your team going to use. It's important to keep evaluating the landscape and identify gaps and bottlenecks to ensure your QA process keep up with evolving needs. The big picture approach emphasizes communication, domain expertise, system knowledge, and alignment with QA landscape and QA skill set. It ensures your QA process is aligned with not only with the technical requirements, but also with the business objectives. When these elements work together, QA becomes a strategic driver of product quality. Let's take a look about the process. There are some key components that for a solid test process. First of all, tool management. Use tools to streamline bug, test case, story workflows. It will keep testing aligned with development. Will keep you maintain your test case repository, and then you will ensure smooth issue tracking. Test activities including grooming and estimation, to align scope and effort, exploratory testing and feature testing to uncover potential issues, and automation execution to speed up testing with smoke, regression, and continuous testing. Critical path and release testing, you can focus on some key functionalities when you release, and then come with the reports. To me, two reports that I think they are important. That's a defect escape analysis and test summary reports. When you have those two reports for your team, it ensures the transparencies and guidance for continuous improvement. And I want to adopt a culture that continuous learning and continuous improvement. That's why it's after each cycle, you reflect on what worked and adjust the process for continuous improvement. This is test pyramid. I believe that this test pyramid is familiar with everyone. And the key takeaway that I want to mention is prioritize testing efforts at lower levels, like unit tests and API tests, because they are faster, more cost effective, and then it will put the very fast feedback loop when we integrate with CI/CD pipeline. And I believe that when you can build test scenarios using APIs, and you can use API to create test data or clean up your environment, the automation UI tests should be used sparingly for key workflows. And then, of course, the test manual, don't forget manual testing. Manual testing will fill in the gaps to ensure the quality across the board. About test automation. To me, a successful automation approach requires the right tool that align with your QA skill set. That's why the important thing that I mentioned before, you have to know your QA skill set, so you will select the right tools for your team. Either you can build framework, you can use codeless or no code automation. Whatever you do, it should be aligned with your QA skill set, with your team goals and development. And the second is you have a balanced strategy following test pyramids. I know at the QA, I don't do a lot of unit tests, but if I do a lot in API testing, it saves me a lot of time to build UI automation tests. And then the third one is continuous testing through CI/CD pipelines or regular schedule when you run automation. And then focus on both functional and non-functional testing. With these practices, you can build efficient, scalable, and reliable testing automation. When come with automation, I would like to share some tips that I learned from my experience. I know that when people start doing automation, they tend to create as many as possible automated test cases without having a plan to execute them. So we need to do in a different way. First of all, you need to prepare your test environment. Either you want to have a separate environment for automation, or you want to set up a specific data set for automation using on your test environment. Whatever you want to do, you need to get the test environment for automation ready at the beginning. And the second one for the preparation steps where you want to run tests. You can run tests in a machine on AWS EC2. You can run tests on a testing platform on the cloud, or you can run tests on agents that you spinning up through your build tools, or you can run tests on your local machine. Wherever you want to run tests, you need to get it ready as well before you create tests. And then when you prepare the test environments where you want to run tests, you create a small set of test cases and have them executed on the environment with regular schedule or with CI/CD pipeline integrations. And then for CI/CD pipeline integrations, you need to work with your DevOps team to understanding where the CI/CD pipeline and when you want to integrate your automation with the CI/CD pipeline. And then when you have those steps and your small set of test case up and run, you increase your coverage, test execution, increase your coverage, execution, you repeat that loop. That will ensure your test case will be continuous testing and your automated test case will be up to date and maintainable. And the last thing that I want to share today is how to transform QA team into valuable strategic business access. There are some common mindsets that limit the potential of QA teams. They view QA as a cost center rather than value driver, treating QA as reactive, only addressing poor results. And knowledge gaps, whether in technology or domain expertise, it impact effective testing. And QA process that slow down release cycle or causing bottlenecks. And those are common mindsets. And those common mindsets make QA teams struggle with outdated practice, like untraceable test plans, inconsistent test case, outdated test repository lead to poor test management. Lack of test coverage, it make it difficult to ensure about quality, and teams often fail to deepen their understanding of the product. Communication gaps between QA and other departments create inefficiencies. Automation tests takes long time impact to delivery timelines. And to transform the QA team, organization must foster the culture of quality. First, stay updated with evolving technologies and trends. You don't need to know technologies and trends in details. You just get to know that those tools, those technologies are in the market and what they are for. By knowing the name and general purpose of those tools, you will have a mental catalog to reference before you need it. And the second, this is very important, QAs must become domain experts with deep knowledge, deep product knowledge, because when you have deep product knowledge, and then when there is a change request from business, you will know exactly the impact areas, and then you can pinpoint where adjustments should be made, and then that will create the good relationship between developers and QA and can make a good development and developers and QA test strategy. The third one is leverage modern tools. I joined the conference, some topics today, and I heard about Cypress Cloud. And we, like for automation, when we run on CI/CD, when there are errors, how do you debug the errors, right? And then you can use Cypress Cloud to debug using test relay. And I do that in my team in EC facility as well. So we use Cypress Cypress Cloud to record all the test results from our CI/CD pipeline, and then it recommend us some fixes for flaky tests and recommend us how many how many parallel execution that we can run to save our time. And also in Easy Facility, we use Copilot as well. That's to help QA a lot, save a lot of time in developing automation testing. And the fourth one is encourage regular feedback loop within teams for continuous improvement. And the last one, but not least, promote the mindset that quality is everyone's responsibility, not just QA. So we have like quality from product owners, from developer, from QA, and then we will build a quality product. So in summary, the shift from outdated practice to a quality-driven culture, align processes, tools, and mindsets. If you have that kind of culture, QA team will add strategic value by driving efficiencies, ensuring product excellence, and become a trusted partner in the business. And to wrap up, back to the two takeaways from at the beginning. Just remember what to do when you want to start a QA team. First, review current state of QA build process, test artifacts, QA process, identify pain points, and set expectation. And remember the big picture: product expertise, system structure, team skill sets, and communication and QA landscape. And build your QA process. Start with automation. And then how to make your team as a valuable strategic business access. First, domain expertise. Second, technology trends. Third, leverage tools. And four, the last, quality is everyone's responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you for such an amazing presentation, Trang. You have really given us a lot to think about when it comes to building a successful quality engineering team and process. One thing that you mentioned and you actually ended on here that really stood out to me is that quality is everyone's responsibility. And I love this quote so much and cannot agree with it more. But I've also heard a kind of an opposing opinion. And someone has said to me one time, if something is everyone's responsibility, then it's no one's responsibility. So I'm interested to hear from you. How do you balance and create that balance among your team of shared ownership with direct team assignments?
That's a great question. In our team, we encourage communication because we think that communications is a key point to build a team, right? And then when we communicate, we review the story. We have a lot of discussion to make sure the story that we are going to implement is really ready, and every people in the team have the same knowledge, the same understanding. And then of course we have some responsibility for developers and QA. When developer will be responsible with feature, with testing in the system, and what is the QA responsibility. We have some kind of discussion, and then that's not like 1 day or 2 day journey, right? We need a lot of journey, feedback, and encourage and do everything, and then we get there.
That's excellent. That's a great answer. Yeah. We have a lot of questions from the audience, so I'm going to bring some up, starting here. Mm-hmm. So what specific skills and qualities and experiences do you prioritize when you are hiring QA professionals for your team?
When my opinion, right? When I interview a QA, of course we based on the job description, right? What we need when for a position in our team. But when I do interview, I normally ask about past experience, and then I would ask them about what do they see from their past project, and do they have any kind of improvement or recommendation that they want to do for the past project or something like that. So because I want to know the creative and the learning thing, the continuous learning from the team members. Yeah.
That sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and share our next question. What are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced when scaling a QA team, and how did you overcome those?
What are the biggest challenges when you face when scaling the QA team? So for me, luckily, I'm not doing this alone, right? I would do that with my CTO, my boss, to identify when we need more team members and why. Because we have product roadmaps, we have plan in advance, and we will know when we need the team. And then when we have a new member into the team, we have a very clear documentation, the onboarding, what we want them to learn from the product and everything to get them on board as fast as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We have a couple more questions from the audience. This one is more specific to kind of where your test code lives. So do you believe that GUI test automation code should live in the same repo branch as product code? And if so, what are the pros and cons for that?
So my experience, normally I have like separate repo for automations with the product code branch, right? Because like we have different skill sets between QA and developers, right? And so, for example, in my company, we have different projects in product code, right? We have this API, we have this app, we have that app, we have a lot of apps, but for testing, they are integration. And then we build the separate automation code that we can test the integration between apps or something like that. But I used to work on one project long time ago, and they have the automation code within the product code, and I see some pros and cons over there. Kind of cons, like when you have in the same branch, and then you don't need to run the whole UI scenario or API to create test data. You just call the function to create some test data or some step for you, so you can start your testing. So that is something that I can see from the code, but I am not experienced that much. I just have one project working with that.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that insight. Going back to kind of talking about the process of hiring QA or QE team members, we are going to share this next question up to the screen. So this is a little different. So specifically, what soft skills do you think play a big role in a QA professional's effectiveness, and how do you evaluate those when you are looking for new team members?
Yes, the first soft skill that I think is communication, right? And the learning. So you need to love the product that you work. And to me, the product, the domain knowledge is the important thing, because so I prefer hybrid QA. I prefer the way that QA do manuals and automation at the same time. So we can save a lot of time to like build a lot of test cases in manual and then translate them into the automation. So communication and learn the products is the important things that I prefer for QA professional. And also you have to learn how to code. You know how to code the programming language that your team is doing for automations, right? But communication and the product knowledge is the important thing to me.
Excellent. And then we have time for one more question from the audience. I'm going to share that up to the screen. You mentioned earlier that luckily you're not doing this alone, right? You are working with other team members like your CTO to make decisions about your QA team. So can you talk us through like what kind of evaluation process do you and your CTO get together and talk through when you are deciding whether or not to bring on additional team members?
Yeah, so as I say, we have normally in the team we have product roadmaps, and we will know what we are going to build in the futures, right? And from that, yeah, we know how many QAs, how many developers, and how many teams we want to add to our team, big teams. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Trang, thank you so much for all the insights you provided. Those are all the questions we have time for.